This is a pretty cool spot we had for a trail camera this year, and it's a long, skinny hunting plot, and it looks pretty sparse right now, but we have a really good covering of clover that'll end up coming through. We'll manage this as a clover hunting plot, so we can't wait for that this year. And you see the trail camera right behind me, and the scrape right here. We'll back up, and we have this scrape that they've been hammering pretty hard, and even right now we still have deer coming through here. The broken buck that I shot this year with my bow, we first saw him right here, and then I shot him straight across about right over there this year, all the way down the hollow up the other side, but he was in this portion. We had LL beams coming through here. I actually wounded him down there. We saw a shed buck on the neighbors with a photo. We're hoping it's him, big old buck, so it might be him. But regardless, so you know, we love our trail cam locations. And you start seeing in the industry, I even saw some the other day say, well, you know, we just stopped using trail cameras altogether and want to make it more challenging. And I look at it like with the trail camera, it gives you an opportunity to learn. And Dylan and I discussed this, and we came at it from a little bit different angles, but at the same time, what I was trying to point out with Dylan and talk to him before this is that when you have a trail camera, I think it makes you a better hunter, but not because you have the trail camera and you're going to go out and shoot a buck because of that trail camera. That's not what I was referring to. And I think Dylan said, I think you'll get some flack for saying, you know, that. And I think that's what you're talking about, Dylan, when we were talking about that, you know, as far as, you know, arguing whether you should use a trail camera.
That people use trail cameras as a crutch.
No, in fact, just the opposite. And I think when people are using a trail camera, it can make you a better hunter overall because it helps you understand buck behavior better. And that's really important. And I'll give you a few examples of that. When you're on a property for setting expectations and goals, you know, we work with clients all around the country, and they'll say, you know, what do you think we should be seeing? And I always look at it like, I look through their trail cam photos. We talk about that all the time when we sit down at breakfast in the morning or coffee, and we go over their property and all their history of the land and how long they've had it, what the neighbors are seeing, what they're seeing. And it's interesting, we'll look at those bucks and we'll say, well, that's a really nice collection. You've only been here 2 years and you're getting a nice collection of 2 and 3 year old bucks. You know, a few 3-year-olds every year, a bunch of 2-year-olds, a bunch of 1.5-year-olds. So you're seeing a lot of bucks already. And I look at it like with the changes we recommend, you're going to see that age class go up another year, 1.5 years. So I look at it like if you're seeing 3-year-olds right now, we design a plan for you. You're going to start seeing 4-year-olds as much as you were 3-year-olds. And that means you're seeing occasional 5-year-old. So it's kind of like if you have a few 3-year-olds every year, you're going to see occasional 4-year-old. And so that's what we look at on almost every property you go to. You know, it's almost, I'll just make a quick point, the hardest people we work with, and I don't know if Dylan would agree, but the hardest people we work with are people that say, we've done everything to the land. They come across as they know everything that there is to know, but they're having us to come out and tweak it for them. So they just need a tweaking.
I've been to a couple properties where you're just here so I can kill the 200-incher that my neighbor killed.
Yeah, they do everything right other than that. You know, and then those are some of the hardest ones because they're not open to change, and they probably need a lot of change, which is why they're having us come there in the first place. Where we get clients, on the other hand, they welcome us with open arms, meaning like we're an empty canvas. You just tell us what to do, because they know that when we implement changes, they're going to be a lot closer to their potential. You know, they're at, and I'll even tell clients, they say, well, what do you think? I'm like, well, you guys are at like 2 or 3. I'm excited for you because you're at a 2 or 3 out of 10 right now, and I want to bring you to an 8 to 10 out of 10. And you have a lot to go. And I'll tell people all the time, I have higher expectations for you than you do, because I know what you can have. And one of the ways you know what you can have is by having those trail cameras. It helps you set expectations. So what does that have to do with making you a better hunter? Well, if you're setting expectations, what we find is that overall you're going to see about half of the bucks that you have in a given area during the hunting season if you're an avid hunter. You're going to see about half. You're going to see a really high percentage of the youngest bucks, and you're going to see a really low percentage of the oldest bucks. What that means is if you're just going on hunting observation, you keep a nice logbook, you record what bucks you're seeing, how many you see on the property, you're going to be seeing a very small percentage of your oldest bucks, which means your sightings by hunting, actually sitting in a stand, are going to be very misleading. They don't let you know the bar that you can set for yourself and be a better hunter and sit and really hold out. You know, when we shoot that broken buck, yeah, we saw him by trail camera, but when I saw him, that was the first time I saw him from the stand, and I shot him. When we see the bucks and the target bucks we shoot, LO beams. I saw him 2 years ago. At least once I passed him up. The year before, I didn't see him at all. And then this year, I saw him one time and I got a shot that I messed up. The point is, those older bucks, LO beams was 6. The older bucks, we usually get to see them. If we see them, we usually get a shot, and that's it for the year. Jen got 2 chances on Ocho this year. Her 10th sit, she messed up on. Her lower cam hit her knee, threw the arrow like 4 feet off. Really bad. She was in tears, literally. That was the buck she wanted for 2 years. It took her 25 more sits, sometimes an hour and a half at a time, sometimes in the middle of the day when she had a sit. She was determined to get another chance, and I told her, you don't often get another chance at a buck like that. But bottom line is, in 35 sits, she got to see him twice. She shot him on the 35th sit. The point is, when you don't have a camera, you don't know what you have out there. So you don't know what expectations to set for yourself and what goals you have on your land. And if you don't know what goals you have for the older bucks that you're not seeing, then you don't know how to make yourself hunt harder to get those bucks. That brings up another point. You can't be critical of yourself. Trail cameras will show you when you go out on a property, you've been getting consistent pictures of bucks, deer activity in general, does, fawns. You hunt for a long weekend, maybe it's your first weekend of the year, it's your second, it's during your rut hunt. You go out and hunt, 5 days later, the trail cam pictures completely shut down. Now, most people look at it like, my neighbor's been pressuring deer, they've been moving around, and the neighbor's been doing this, the neighbor's been doing that. They blame everybody but themselves, and when really, we're not critical of ourselves enough. You need to be critical of yourself enough. And I keep looking over this beautiful view. It's distracting over here, so Dylan can maybe show that behind me, but it is beautiful down here. The wind's coming right up at me, so I'll get the wind in my back a little bit. But what was the temperature right now, 15 degrees or something?
Yeah, but we're standing in the sun, it's pretty nice.
It's brisk. Yeah, I'm hoping for a tan, but anyways, we're not critical of ourselves. And so when you have trail cameras and you can see after this weekend, my sightings went down, it's telling you, yeah, you spooked deer, but it's telling you need to be a better hunter. So whether you're setting expectations or you're critical of yourself after you went hunting and you saw the deer sightings go down, that trail camera is helping you become a better hunter. Now, point number 3, when you have trail cameras on a property, even if you're not hunting that property, you can learn about buck behavior. And when you're seeing those older bucks, you'll find that they range far and wide. You'll find they don't move much during the daylight. You'll find that they have their few favorite spots, and that's about it. They're very, very strict with their patterns, their daily patterns. They're very hard to kill because they can't tolerate any hunting pressure. So when you can understand buck behavior, when you can see all of the bucks on your property, double the amount of bucks, and within those double the amount of bucks, you get to see older bucks, then you become a better hunter because you understand mature buck behavior a lot better than if you had no cameras at all. And this has nothing to do with the bucks you're actually killing. It's not like you're using a crutch, like Dylan had said, where you're seeing this, that helps you go shoot this buck. And that's not what I'm talking about. You understand buck behavior better, which is why I like putting our trail cameras on video. And Dylan was one to convince me to put them on video, and this is 2016, 17, 18, right around there. We didn't use
selfishly. I just wanted the video.
But it made me like really appreciate the cameras on video because you get to see so much more behavior. It's not just a snapshot of them walking by. It's that doe going by, then that buck coming behind it. This morning, we got a picture of a buck it's a neighbor's buck. Oh no, that was Trouble. We had another picture that went through of a good survivor this morning. We don't know, but Trouble went through this morning, and we got a picture of Trouble, and he's just coming through. But you get on that, you turn on the video, and we requested a video, HD video, and all of a sudden when you watch Trouble, he's got his head down and he's moving real quick. And you can tell he's following a doe. And so we're looking at, it's early January right now, And it's those fawns that are coming in, it's that third rut time. And so it's really cool. And then 45 minutes later, we had short horse, another buck coming right after him. And so short horse is probably following that doe scent right behind trouble 45 minutes later. It's really cool to see. So you start looking at, well, there's some third rut activity. You know, he was obviously on a doe. He's got his head down moving. And so it's cool to see that kind of behavior and start to make assumptions about what's going on in your land. And then you see that, you're like, oh, you can draw some conclusions. But when you see those types of behavior over and over and over again, times however many cameras you have, times how many years you're watching, it helps teach you about buck behavior, buck patterns. And it might not even be bucks you're actually hunting. And I'm not saying people put cameras out in areas they don't hunt. The point is that by watching those cameras, you become a better hunter, because you can monitor your herd and your buck herd, understand buck behavior, you set expectations and goals, you can be critical of yourself. And then if you're actually watching and trying to improve your herd, you're gonna find these ratios we like to talk about. And one of those is, even if you just had cameras on your food plots, you're gonna find the best properties you see, the properties we manage, the properties we go to, if they do and follow the recommendations we want, they hunt the way because they can do all the habitat improvements they want, but if they're not hunting them correctly, they're never going to come close to their potential. You can't just set up a property, have it, you still have to make the decisions for hunting. You have to make good hunting decisions. And that's why people don't understand. You can do everything you want on private land with all the habitat work you want, but the strategy is what kills it. That's the lowest hole in the bucket, is how you hunt the land. And that's where we go to client properties to design their habitat, but really what we're doing is designing how they hunt the land and try to make them a better hunter, because that's the lowest hole in the bucket. So when we're looking at those, you're monitoring your herd with a trail camera, and that's part of all of this, of becoming a better hunter. So if you have a good herd and you watch those food plots in October, November, it doesn't really matter at all what's going on in the summertime or winter or spring. You're watching this October and November. Look at that number on your food plots on private land of does and fawns. On the best properties we see, that number of does and fawns, you add it up, could be that you see in 15, 20 does and fawns. And we can even ask clients this when we start seeing, and you know a little bit about their property. But if you're seeing 15 does and fawns on a property regularly on your food plots in any given October, November afternoon, evening, adding up all of the deer that are out on all your food plots, you're gonna find the number of unique bucks that you'll see for the entire season should be approximately twice that number. That does not mean you have 2 bucks for every doe, or 1 buck for every doe, or whatever that number is. We're not talking sex ratio, we're talking about quality property ratios and herd dynamic ratios that we see on consistent, well-managed properties. And what I mean by that, those bucks have a home range 5 times greater than does, so that's reflective of a giant area. If you have too many does, so we'll go to a property and let's say they have 100 acres. We'll just throw some numbers out there, just random numbers. Don't go back and take these numbers as gospel per acre. This is what Sturgis said you have to do. I hate seeing that kind of stuff online. But what I'm saying is, you have 100 acres and someone tells us they're seeing regularly 35, 40 does and fawns on their food plots every single evening in October, November. They add them up, and let's face it, 95 to 100% of your does are going to be out on those food plots. So if you have a good camera program, you can just count them up. So you count them up, and you're seeing 35, 40 does and fawns on a 100-acre property on 10 acres of food plots. You got a problem. Too many does and fawns. So what can we conclude from that? Well, I'll say, how many different unique bucks do you think you're seeing? Well, definitely it's going to be 35, 40 or less. But in that case, it's probably going to be 15 or 20, 25 at the most. They're going to see half as many bucks as those does and fawns because they have too many does and fawns. And now if we went to a 100-acre parcel, mixed ag, and they have 6 acres of food plots, and they're telling us they see 12, 15 does and fawns on that property, 15, 18 maybe at the most, in that same situation, you could say, how many different unique bucks do you have? And because maybe they're not hunting it appropriately, maybe the habitat's not laid out, they might tell us, well, we're seeing about 20 bucks. So you're gonna see more bucks in those does and fawns total, total antlered. I mean, I'm going down to spikes to giants, whatever it might be, whatever a giant is in your area. So when we work on their property, tweak how they hunt it, we give more sanctuary area, you have a higher efficiency of your parcel, more depth of cover that we teach. You don't have food plots taking out cover. You have areas where mature bucks, older bucks can actually hold. It's pretty easy to take that number where they're seeing 15 does and fawns, they're seeing about 20 bucks, and keep that number of does and fawns the same and see more like 25 to 30 bucks. So you're starting to see that double ratio of 2 bucks for every doe. You see that with trail cameras. So a lot of you are using trail cameras. I mean, I know reveal cameras, they sell millions a year. You know, trail cameras are out there. We're not trying to convince you to put a trail camera. I'm trying to convince you to understand how you can use a trail camera to make you a better hunter going into next season, whether it's being critical of yourself, setting expectations, herd monitoring, understanding bucks. There's so many ways that you can become a better hunter using a trail camera. And it's not just I saw someone say, I use my trail cameras. I never use them during the season though. Almost holier than thou. I only use them in the off season, just for herd monitoring. Completely the wrong time to herd monitor. Tells you nothing. Doesn't make you a better hunter. Doesn't tell you actually your herd. Who cares what deer you have in the summertime? It's your uncontrollable number. You can't do anything with it. I'm hoping this gives you a glimpse of how you can use trail cameras to make you a better hunter in 2025 and beyond, or whatever year you're watching this. But it's a pretty cool opportunity. We've really enjoyed the process. And I enjoy it because I like mature bucks. I like getting to know their personality. You're not gonna learn that from even a snapshot. I learned that from videos. How aggressive they are, how shy they are, how frequent you're seeing them. I enjoy that part of it because does and fawns kind of cool. You know, you can have some that are dominant and pushing others off a food plot. It's pretty cool to watch them. But boy, those mature bucks are unique. They're independent thinkers. They don't think as a herd. They don't have herds of mature bucks running around in October, November. They're usually solitary creatures. They don't mix well with does and fawns. And for that, I like the uniqueness of them and being those individual thinkers that they are, those individual problem solvers, and tried to figure them out. It's always that ever-going puzzle, forever puzzle, and it's pretty cool. And so consider the benefits of a trail camera this year and if you should use them or not. And boy, I think you should use them because they're going to make you a better hunter this season and beyond. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. You're our best followers. You followed all the way to the end of the video. Really invite you to check out our website. We have our earthway spreaders for sale, great Christmas presents. We're booking clients right now, all 5 of us. So by the end of December, it seems early, but by the end of December, our schedule will be booked for 2025. It's hard to believe. I'm already booked for December and most of January, February. We have our web classes, the rut web class, how to design your whitetail property, and really important, hunting hills and thermals, understanding the wind. Those are great products on our site, all the books. Thank you so much for watching all the videos, buying the seed that you did this year. Really appreciate you.